Africa Today, thank you so much for joining us and always being part of us. My name is Nahabika Jura, and first are the headlines. Mulago Hospital reveals it has enough machines to treat chronic kidney diseases. AU suspends Burkina Faso over military coup. Malawi president warns against corruption. In our sports today, tragic Olembe Stadium to resume hosting African Cup of Nations matches. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, the Education and Sports Ministry under the Education Review Commission unveils terms and reference that calls for formal public views, comments and proposals on how the education sector can be able to drive the country's socio-economic transformation agenda. More details in this report.
Mr. Brighton Barugahari, the Commissioner of Policy Analysis and Research in the Ministry of Education and Sports, says following major reforms made by government in the education in 1992, the government commends the Education Policy Review Commission to study issues affecting the education sector and also make education relevant, where since a milestone of achievements like technological transformation has been reached.
Since the government made major reforms in the education sector, and the last time that happened was in 1992. We have been implementing government policies, programs, projects in the education sector basing on the government white paper on education of 1992. Prior to that cabinet approval of that white paper, there had been a commission, an Education Policy Review Commission, that was established in March 1987 to study the issues affecting education, but also to make education relevant. And they came up with the recommendations in 1989. Those recommendations were debated, approved by cabinet and the parliament, and they came up with the government white paper as a blueprint of education service delivery in the country. But we also realize that since 1992, when we last had the white paper approved to guide implementation, many things have changed. The technological revolution, that time I think there was only UBC. These radios I have had Dr. Mtimba mentioning were not there, the FM radio.
Mr. Bright says that the Commission will make inquiries into the implementation of decisions stipulated in the 1992 Government White Paper on Education as a macro policy framework for human capital development, and also assess the relevance and effectiveness of specific policies, programs and projects designed to achieve the 1992 Government White Paper on Education decisions along the education and sports value chains.
The Commission will investigate and inquire into 1. The implementation of the decisions contained in the government white paper on education of 1992 as a macro policy framework for human capital development in the country. We have been having this white paper since 1992. It is almost coming. By April, it will be 30 years. So has it worked? That is 1. 2. The existence of policies on curriculum, teaching, assessment, and placement of runners where available. Curriculum is the content. When you send your child to school or when you go to school, the expectation that you are going to acquire knowledge, that knowledge is packaged into what they call curriculum. Now that curriculum is what assists teachers. So you don't go in a class and say things you know. You say things that are within the curriculum.
The Commission calls out on all stakeholders to participate in the education policy review process by ways of submitting memoranda of their own views, comments and proposals on the necessary education sector policy and legal reforms.
Away from that, the Executive Director of Mulago Hospital, Dr. Batera Nabyargaba, has revealed that Mulago Hospital has over 6 dialysis machines, contrary to a story published in the Daily Monitor that government runs only 3 machines in the whole country.
Dr. Batera Nabyarugaba was taking journalists around the dialysis unit at Mulago Hospital to witness machines at the facility. He said government increased their funds and they were able to provide up to 63 machines which are able to carry out dialysis services.
We put another 26 machines. So really, you could see from here, just Mulago and Tuda Road, there are about 56 machines, without mentioning those the CRT machines. So if we measure the CRT machines and those ones, it would be about 60. So maybe the writer would have divided it 60 by 20 and got 3. Now, without going very far, dialysis is here and is here to stay, just as oxygen, we brought it here and is here to stay. So these are the things we have come, making sure that the government has them. But I'm surprised that the other things come in later, but these things are here and they're here to stay.
The continuous renal replacement therapy, also known as the CRRT machines, are used to support patients with renal kidney failure, which are brought about by diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, HIV and AIDS, etc. Mulago Hospital receives about 35 patients a day and carries out 100 sessions a month.
1,000 sessions per month, and we started off with a few patients, and now we are having 70 patients in these machines. Some of the patients are coming from other hospitals in town and beyond.
Some patients we spoke to narrated their experience at Mulago Hospital dialysis unit.
Before I came here, my body was paining, all the bones paining. But I came here and Dr. Young put me on dialysis. I started to feel good. Even right now, no paining, completely. That if they did not put us on this machine, after 4 days we shall get paining.
Chronic kidney diseases include conditions that damage one's kidney and decrease their ability to keep them healthy by filtering wastes from blood. Early detection and treatment can often keep chronic kidney diseases from getting worse. Doctors urge people to work out in order to avoid diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, which may lead to kidney failure. Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the Bright to Know. In international news today, the African Union has suspended Burkina Faso from all its activities within the Continental Organization following the January 24th coup that ousted President Roch Marc Christian Kabore. Nalugo Muyingo has the details.
The bloc's 15-member Peace Security Council said on Monday that the council decided to suspend the participation of Burkina Faso in all activities of the AU until the effective restoration of constitutional order in the country, announced in a tweet the Peace and Security Council in charge of conflicts and security issues within the African Union.
Away from that, the president of Malawi has warned against corruption in the country. The warning was issued during a speech on Sunday to mark the swearing-in of the new government. Now, last week, President Lazarus Chakwera sacked 7 ministers over graft and corruption concerns. More details in this report. Corruption comes in many forms, and there are many opportunities to succumb to it in this country. But you must resist it at every turn, because if you do not follow the law will follow you. And if you think that I will use my office to save you from facing the law you have broken, then you are gravely mistaken, warned the president. President Chakwera added, "You are here to serve, not to rule or boast. Occupying high office is not a license to act high and mighty. The people of Malawi are your bosses, not your subjects." Last December, one minister in government was arrested on allegations of having received bribes from a businessman in exchange for land. Also last month, police in Malawi arrested a former finance minister as well as an ex-central bank chief. Moving on, Malian Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Diop revealed that Tensions between Paris and Bamako were due to the fact that the Malian junta had touched France's interests by ruling out elections in February. More details in this report.
The minister had earlier blamed France for supporting coups in the past. In a video verified by the Malian authorities, the minister said that France had in past claimed to have defended democracy in the other countries by installing heads of state who had carried out coups. The minister further indicated that France is pushing for another set of rules to govern Mali. Relations between France and its former colony have been strained since the army took power in Bamako in August 2020. For the past 6 months, France has been reorganizing its military presence in Mali, leaving its 3 northernmost bases. The number of French troops in the Sahel, which stood at more than 5,000 last summer, has fallen and is planning to only keep between 2,500 to 3,000 troops by 2023.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the business news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In a business news today, in the middle of Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, men, women, and children are busy working in an open-air granite mine. Now, the rock is extracted from the bottom of the mine, carried to the top, and then crushed before being sold. Take a look at the report.
The mine belongs to anyone. You cannot say this land belongs to someone. Now people are here to work, but inside, down there, everyone has their own little corner to do their work. People remove the big blocks, take them out of the hole, and break them to be able to resell them, said granite seller Marcel Kowala. The work is hard and the pay is often not enough to feed a family, as explained by granite breaker Abarat Nikima. If I work from morning to night, I can earn, for example, 1,000 francs. With this money, I have to feed the children, pay for their school, and it's really difficult. The work is hard and it is really pitiful. I've been here for 10 years and so far I can't get by. It's really pitiful. Accidents and injuries are also a common occurrence. Sometimes you see big injuries, sometimes the rocks hurt people, sometimes it hits the eyes, sometimes the hammer comes out and hits people. There are a lot of accidents and the slope is also slippery. People get hurt a lot here. The mine has been exploited for the past 40 years.
Bagari.
Turning your attention to health news today, a growing number of countries are imposing vaccine passes or insisting people in certain jobs be vaccinated against COVID-19, but few are mandating their whole populations to be jabbed. More details in this report. Ecuador became the first country in the world to make COVID-19 vaccinations mandatory in December, including for children over 5. 2 authoritarian states in Central Asia, Tajikistan and Turkmenistan, had already made them obligatory for adults over 18 years old in July. Indonesians have also been obliged, in theory, to get a shot since last February, but in practice less than half had done so by the beginning of 2022. In the Pacific, the Federated States of Micronesia also announced in July that over 18s would have to get shots. Austria will be the first European Union country to impose vaccination on all over 14s on Friday, with those breaching the rules facing a €600. The German Bundestag is debating a draft law of compulsory vaccinations pushed by the new Social Democrat Chancellor. Several European countries concentrate on the elderly, who are more likely to get severely ill from the virus. In Italy, all over 50s must be vaccinated from February 15th. And in Greece, over 60s have had to be jabbed since the beginning of the year. The Czech Republic was to do the same, but its new government dropped the idea. our sports news today, the African Soccer Confederation lifted a temporary suspension on the games at the main stadium at the African Cup of Nations tournament on Sunday, and it will allow the stadium to host a semi-final and the February 6th final after a crash that left 8 fans dead and 38 injured, 7 of them seriously. We have more on this report.
The Confederation of African Football made the move after receiving a report into the deadly stampede last Monday at the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé during the last 16 game between tournament host Cameroon and Comoros. The report dealt with and highlighted the tragic circumstances which led to 38 people being injured and 8 fatalities, CAF said in a statement. The report further highlighted the recommendations and interventions to ensure that a tragedy of this nature should never be repeated. CAF didn't give any details on report, its findings or its recommendations, but it said that it was satisfied by the additional security that had been put in place at African Cup games this week since the Olembe Stadium tragedy. It means that a semi-final between Mohamed Salah's Egypt and Cameroon will now go ahead to the Olembe Stadium on Thursday, and the stadium, which costs Cameroon more than $300 million to build for the African Cup, will be able to hold the finals. CAF said it was now confident that the safety and security of spectators and visitors will be secured.
It is at this particular time that I thank you for joining us, in Norris being part of us and being a loyal audience. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the bright to know.